Good evening, and welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals hearing of Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. At this time, I'm going to call upon everyone so that we can stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that we all remain standing for a moment of silence for our soldiers, in honor of our soldiers, past and present. Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to announce that we have the next scheduled meeting that we have before us is on Wednesday, May 11th of this year, here at the Town Hall. Moving on to the administrative matters for this evening. The first matter that we have, gentlemen, is review and approval of administrative minutes of March 9th, 2022.
I have nothing to add to them.
I have nothing to add to.
Attorney Farrier?
Nothing.
I don't have anything either.
I make a motion that we approve the administrative minutes of March 9th, 2022 as written.
Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. The second administrative matter we have is the review and approval administrative minutes of March 23rd, 2022.
I have nothing to add to those, Mr. Chair.
Doctor?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Attorney Farrier? I don't have anything either.
I make a motion that we approve the administrative minutes of March 23rd, 2022 as written.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Third matter we have is review and approval of minutes of variance case number 2022-04, dated March 9th for 47 East Avenue.
I have nothing to add to that.
I have nothing to add to.
I just have a small change. I'm just going to hand it over to Michelle. She'll make that change. It's nothing of real significance.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of variance case 2022-04 dated March 9th, 2022 regarding 47 East Avenue as revised and written.
Will I get a second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. The fifth matter that we have on, or maybe the fourth, I should say, is review and approval of minutes of use variance 2022-01 dated March 9, 2022. This is for 155 Old Fall River Road. It was continued from February 23rd, 2022.
I have nothing to add to this.
I have nothing to add to it.
Neither do I, gentlemen. How about Attorney Farrier? All right, gentlemen.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes of the use variance 2022-01 dated March 9th, 2022 for 155 Old Fall River Road as written.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. And the last administrative matter we have on for this evening is review and approval of minutes of use variance 2022-01 dated March 23rd, 2022. And this is also on 155 Old Fall River Road, which was continued from March 9th. I have no comments, gentlemen, on this.
I have no comments either.
I have no comment on that.
Comments, Mr. Chair.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of use variance 2022-01 dated March 23rd, 2022 as written.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, so moving on to the public hearings portion of tonight's hearing. We have first matter, which I just want to let you gentlemen know it's going to be a continuous. I'll read that into the record, but it's variance case number 2022-04. It has previously been continued from February 23rd, 2022. Actually, it's not a continuous, gentlemen. That's actually a request for a withdrawal of the petition without prejudice. So I'm going to just read it a little further, just for our viewers at home. The petitioner on this case was Michael T. Fernandez. The subject property was 47 East Avenue. It's located in single residence B district. This is a situation in which the petitioner had asked for a continuance because I think they had brought forth a request for relief, and I think it was you, Attorney Human, that had determined that they probably should have sought an additional provision for relief or additional relief from another provision of the bylaw. And as a result, we have here, which I'll read into the record, it's a letter from Prime Engineering. It's dated March 17, 2022, and it's addressed to the zoning board members. It says, on behalf of our client, Michael and Geraldine Fernandez, please withdraw their variance petition without prejudice. The signed form is attached, and it's signed Richard J. Riome. All right?
I have no problem with that.
Neither do I.
I have no problem.
Okay, so I guess their request is to withdraw the variance. I guess we're gonna need a vote, or we're gonna need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request of Michael and Geraldine Fernandez to withdraw their variance for 47 East Avenue, variance 2022-04.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and the ayes have it. I'm glad you referred to the number because they're actually filing another petition that's before.
That's why I referred to the number.
Thank you. All right. Next matter we have, just at the outset, gentlemen, the petitioner is actually seeking a continuance. It's a use variance, case number 2022-01. The petitioner is Claudia Arsenio. The subject property is 155 Ophir River Road. It's in a limited industrial area. They're seeking a variance to construct the 80 by 100 square foot structure for a marijuana manufacturing facility. And it's seeking relief under Article 4, Section 375, 4.2, and Article 4, Section 375.4.3, special permit uses. So, as you well know, gentlemen, this has been a hot topic for us in the sense of many people coming forward, both in opposition and in support. But at this point in time, the petitioner, I'm going to read into the record a letter from Richard Manning, who's the petitioner's representative. The letter is dated April 4th of 2022. It's addressed to us. It says, additional time will be needed to complete revised architectural plans to address the concerns raised by the board at the last meeting in regard to the above captioned application. Therefore, the applicant hereby requests a continuance from April 13, 2022 to May 25th, 2022. And it's from Attorney Manning. Now, I just want to make sure, did he sign a continuation agreement, a continuance agreement? He did, and I have to sign it?
Correct.
All right, so I'll do that after,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Dr. Agai had to excuse himself.
Oh, he had recused himself from this one, okay.
Yes, thank you.
Well, so if you've recused yourself, then probably we shouldn't have you sent to a continuance.
I would assent to the continuous because it doesn't make any difference. It's just a continuous.
Well, I would feel more comfortable if we just had Attorney Farrier assent to it. You don't have to step down. You don't have to step down. We'll do it right from there. He's got a microphone as well. So for purposes of this continuance, Attorney Farrier, we're going to have you sit in and make a determination as to whether or not a continuance should be granted. I understand it's an innocuous determination, but let's just keep it all clean. If you decide to recuse yourself, let's just keep it throughout.
Now this one, there was a couple more, it's the minutes of the meeting that I said, that I agree.
Minutes are one thing. This is something else.
Yes,
Okay, this is a.
you decide.
All right,
Okay,
that's fine.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
I've struggled with the same issue on other occasions as well when I'm assenting to minutes.
I appreciate your opinion.
So Attorney Farrier, so you've heard of everything that's transpired up until this point. Attorney Manning is requesting on behalf of the petitioner a continuance. It's my understanding, my recollection of it is that Halim Shuba had indicated that he would feel more comfortable if he had seen or could see some substantive plans that would show some of the architecture of this particular structure. As a result, the petitioner is in the process of doing so. So we're asking at this point whether or not the members, and at this point the voting members are yourself, myself, and Attorney Human, whether we will agree to continue the matter so that give them an opportunity to provide us with the plans.
I will assent to continuance.
I have no problem.
All right, so if you will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Attorney Manning's request for a continuance of case number 2022-01 for 155 Old Fall River Road, Dartmouth, Mass., from April 23rd, 2022 to May 25th, 2022.
I'll second that motion.
All right, before we vote, I just want to make it clear that they've already signed a continuance hearing form because we have a certain amount of time within which to act. They've agreed to it. I just need to sign it, and it'll be fine within the 25th for the next hearing date. So, can I have a vote, please?
I vote yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So, all in favor? The matter's been continued. All right, is there anything else? So I'll sign this now to get it out of the way. Today's the 13th, right?
Yes, it is.
Just two of them. Just another copy of the same? Oh, this is the deadline extent, okay, fair enough. So this is what I'm concerned with, the deadline extension. Okay. Yeah, and there's still time, right? Yeah, because it says June 8th, is that what it says?
Right.
Great. All right. Anyone have any questions or any concerns at this point in time before we move on to the next hearing?
Not I.
All right. All right, the next matter we have is a variance, and it's case number 2022-05. The petitioner is Viewpoint Sign and Awning. The subject property is 718 Dartmouth Street, also known as map 128, lot 204. The property is located within the general business district, and it has been legally advertised, and it was advertised both on March 30th and April 6th in the Dartmouth Chronicle. Abutters have also been notified. Gentlemen, at this time, we usually have
I make a motion that we waive the reading of the abutters list.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to make it clear that the voting members now at this point in time are myself, are Dr. Agai, and Attorney Human. So I had two ayes, I will assent as well, so all in favor? The petitioner is seeking a variance to install one set of face-lit channel letters. Overall size is 88 inches high by 22 1/16 wide, for a total of 161.37 square feet, to be installed on the front elevation, which is the west side, the gear logo, and Planet Fitness. Article 25, signs, section 375-25.14, subpart B, signs in general business districts, office park districts, and industrial districts, excuse me. The property is located at 718 Dartmouth Street in the general business district and identified on Assessors Map 128, lot 204. All right, that was a little redundant, but we'll get through it. Let's see what we have here. I know we have comments from the building inspector. I want to read them into the record. I must have it.
Yeah, you
No?
usually it's right behind the package.
Usually it is. Here it is. I don't lose things, we just misplace them.
I know that feeling.
So, reading into the record, a letter dated February 20th, 2022. It's addressed to a David Randa in Northborough. It's regarding 718 Dartmouth Street. I have reviewed your application, and at this time, your proposal cannot be approved due to noncompliance with current zoning regulations. You are proposing to install one set of face-lit channel letters, overall height 88 inches high by 22 1/16 inches wide, for a total square footage of 161.37 square feet, to be installed on front elevation in a general business district which does not comply with the town's zoning bylaw. A variance must be applied for and secured from the Zoning Board of Appeals in order to proceed. This is a letter from the building commissioner, and it refers to what sections of the bylaw that the petitioner will need to seek relief from. And that is section 375-25.14, and there are basically two provisions that are of most concern here, and that is signs to be attached to a building, provided the total area of the sign does not exceed 10% of the gross unglazed wall area, and also the sign cannot exceed 32 square feet. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, with the petitioner. Let's see if you've got any other comments here from any other town departments. The planning department says, see the attached letter from the planning board. Here it is. It says, Dear Chairman Maderis, review of the submitted Zoning Board of Appeals variance application was conducted by the planning director on behalf of the planning board in preparation for review by the planning board at its April 11th, 22 meeting. The following is an analysis of the application and supporting documentation submitted to ZBA for the advertised public hearing. A variance is needed under Article 375. We've already done that. We've already gone through that. According to the project description, the total area of the wall sign would exceed the 32 square feet allowance for a given one sign per business allowed for multi-business buildings. The applicant proposes that the area of the sign would not exceed in excess of 10% gross unglazed wall area for the tenant space as it proposed to be developed, and that there are plans to renovate the exterior of the building. Given that the proposed facade changes have not formally been submitted through the permitting process, the planning board requests that the ZBA consider requesting a formal submission of the facade changes prior to granting a variance for sign. Granting a wall sign well in excess of the regulation for one tenant within the multi-business building is particularly concerning, especially given the number of units in the building, which may also request signage size relief. The status intent of maintaining the existing freestanding sign along Dartmouth Street should also be addressed by the applicant. The elevation plans and project description provided depict major changes to the storefront, which may not come to fruition before the sign is installed. Based on the above stated concerns, the planning board recommends that the ZBA not grant the variance for the above referenced project until such time as the building facade improvements for the site are vetted through the process. So we understanding the concerns of the ZBA, gentlemen?
In the planning board.
Excuse me, the planning board.
Yes, I
Misspoke. All right. One of the things that they raised here that I made notes, but I had already forgotten, is about the sign out in front of the road. We'll just call it the road front sign. All right, let's see what other boards we have that may have any concerns here. We got the planning department, board of health, no approval required. There's nothing with conservation. So I think that's about it. All right. So I guess at this time, I'm gonna call upon the petitioner to come forward and explain the relief that they're seeking.
Well, as you see that we are proposing a much larger sign than is allowed, but with the building being 300 feet or more away from the street, the 32 square feet is just not even seeable from the street. It's like, it's at a weird angle. My client does not think that that is even close to what they should be able to have at this building.
Okay. Now, your client, according to the petition, I guess your client is it Planet Fitness?
It's Core Development. They're a franchisee for Planet Fitness.
Okay, but it says here that you're doing it on behalf of Planet Fitness, so the franchise,
Franchisee is Core Development. Planet
Core
Fitness is one of, there's a bunch of Planet Fitnesses owned by different franchisees, and they are one of them,
okay.
one of the larger ones.
And am I to understand that they have some sort of a rental or leasing arrangement with 718 Realty LLC?
They do.
Now, I'm sure you heard what I read into the record with the planning board. Did you
Correct.
have a meeting before the planning board last night on this particular request?
I was not even aware of a planning board meeting, no.
Or, I said the 11th, so was that Monday?
We haven't been to any meetings.
Okay.
This is the first one.
Now, I have a concern where if you're going to be, if you're going to change the facade of this building, it's going to require approval before the planning board.
Yeah, we were not aware that they have not gone for a building permit. We're not changing the building, we're only doing the signage. They're changing the building. The landlord is changing the building himself. We didn't even know he didn't apply yet. We assumed it was all set.
All right.
We're just doing the signage.
Well, the only problem I have is if they're going to be changing the building, the facade of the building, the sign may be in conflict with some of the character that the planning board may be looking to impose on this particular site.
Okay, they gave us plans of what they were planning to do, and that's what we drew our sign on. That's what we always do, and that's the way the system usually is. Usually the landlord has already applied for and received their building permit before we get this far, so.
Well, we have the building inspector here, so do you know whether or not there are any plans that have been, has there been any communication with you about plans to be submitted? So, how does the planning director know about that?
I
Maybe they've been
can't,
having communications with them first?
that I can't answer, to be honest, I can't answer.
Here, I'm gonna have Rose.
Through the chair, as I understand it, they're changing the whole position of the front of the building. so
Correct,
that
that's what it's supposed to look like when I
The
put my.
entrance is over here right now to the left,
And that,
correct?
yep,
You got
and
a
that
little-
parapet is not there right now.
And nothing's there.
Nope.
So,
So that's what I'm
I
guessing.
I noticed that, but the thing is, that it seems, excuse me?
Get in front of the microphones,
Yeah.
got it. I was just guessing from looking at that that's what the planning person looked at.
Well, they may have, but that's true. That's probably what they looked at, because, but obviously someone submitted it on behalf of either the property owner, possibly not the petitioner, because the petitioner's representative is here today and they're not aware of it.
We submitted that drawing
Oh, you submitted that
for
drawing?
our sign, yes.
But the problem we have, well,
I was just gonna ask, how did you get the design that you put on this plan?
The landlord gave us that and told us that's what they're doing with the building, so we could design our sign around their building. But usually by now, they've already been approved, because as far as am concerned, I thought I was behind the ball with this sign, but apparently I'm not even close to being near the ball.
I'll be honest with you, I really don't have a problem with what you're asking for, except that the design of the building has to be approved before we can even get to this point.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like I said, usually we don't have any dealings with the building department as far as the facade, so usually by the time I get to this podium, that's all been taken care of.
I understand. Well, you know, I don't know whether or not the analogy of the cart before the horse is completely appropriate here, because you had the expectation that this would have been approved already.
I thought it was already under construction, to tell you
As
the
a
truth.
board, we don't feel comfortable granting permission to place a sign on a proposed location that doesn't even look like what you're proposing at the very moment, and it's not even been approved by the planning board. It's very likely the planning board, it's possible the planning board will approve the way it is, because I'm not the planning board, but I also know that the planning board, they have the ability to have input with some of the characteristics, and I know that they like certain looks. They're even imposing that even in areas where they're limited industrial areas for buildings, commercial style type buildings, where there's very little traffic. Here, this is a high traffic area. It's in South Dartmouth. It's something certainly that I know that they would want to have some input on. So I personally would feel more comfortable if you would come back to us after an approved plan has been granted by the planning board.
Okay.
Are there time constraints?
If she agrees to grant this, if she agrees to continue and extend the time. So, well, the building inspector knows nothing about plans being submitted to him for this particular structure.
Well, I have the plans for the interior remodel, because that I had, because that's in the works. They've been
Planet
doing-
Holly, Planet Holly.
they're taking a section and they're doing interior remodel, and that's what I issued a permit on. As far as the facade goes, I'm not aware of this part that I saw. I thought the sign was going to the sign and there was gonna be little windows. I don't know if I've ever seen this plan that was submitted for that much glazing on that building, to that right side.
Well, those are all things that are outside of my purview at this point. And I'm not, quite frankly, I'm not in a position to grant a variance for a sign on a portion of a building that's not even been constructed yet. Well, it's one thing to be constructed, it hasn't even been approved. Right? It hasn't been approved by the planning board or by the building inspector.
Mr. Chair, if I may, they have two signs, one on the street, which all of them, they have one sign.
Yes.
They're all the same, similar. But I agree with you that they got to go to planning board to make sure that this has been approved before before we accept it.
I'm glad you raised that issue. So what's your understanding about the sign out near the roadway? Does that also count? Because I think that's well beyond 32 square
I
feet.
think this has been present all the time, and all the tenant, they have the same size, all mounted one after.
No, I understand the sign, but
Yeah.
just, I want, with the building inspector, what his position
Well,
is.
they have two signs. They already have an existing sign on Planet Fitness, there's only other buildings.
There's already one there.
Right, there's already one, so what they're doing, they wanted to enlarge that one.
Yes.
So that's why they ended up coming to talk
That
to
I
me.
get.
So they all have them out on that front
And
post.
those have already been approved as long as they keep them the way they are.
Right, those are, this is just the
They're
building.
pre-existing and we're fine
That's
with it.
correct,
All right,
yes.
So
We
the
will
planning
be,
board's-
we will be applying to change that as well,
You will be.
just the colors. I don't even know what the sign looks like. My client didn't have any pictures of who did the sign last, so I have to go over there and take pictures of that.
Right.
We don't have that designed right now, but it's just a pylon sign, so it's just panels. The only thing that changes with the panels is I think right now they're allowed yellow and a gear is on the panel, but it's just gonna be a purple background with white letters now. They just changed the outlook of
As
it.
long as the size don't change, it's a
Size
pre-existing,
doesn't change on
possibly
that.
non-conforming sign, it doesn't change.
This one is, got a lot larger. When I don't know if you and I were talking about that, and I suggest if you
My
left it.
permit manager.
That's right. You know, if you did it in kind, it could have been done as of right, but the client decided to
I
go with the
tried.
biggest sign.
I have signs going up all over the place and they don't, this is the smallest sign they're putting anywhere. Believe it or not, they're expanding all over the place. And this sign, the reason it is the size that it is because Planet Fitness corporate itself has gotten rid of most of the gears, which represents Planet Fitness. If you drive down the street, if you see the gear, you usually know what it is. They're getting rid of a lot of them, so the letters have to be 36 inches in order to keep the gear. So this is the smallest sign they're allowed with the gear. If we make it smaller, we'll have
Hey,
to take the
you
gear.
mean the logo
The
gear?
logo, yeah. If we make the letters any smaller, the gear has to disappear.
Well, you have any inclination as to how much time you're gonna need before they go before the planning board? You didn't even know about it,
I didn't
right?
even know they weren't approved. I don't even think my client knows they're not approved, so I'm gonna have to go back to them and,
All right, so where are we in the latter part of May? For us? May, May 25th, is that the next hearing? Not the next, but the one following? Yeah.
We have, public code and,
On May 25th?
and something else, I can't remember.
Well, what's on May 11th? We have another one May 11th, right?
Yeah, that's, Kentucky Fried Chicken,
That'll be a while,
but
but,
I don't think they'll get before planning before that.
yeah.
We
So-
just continued 155.
To 525, we did. That's the one, she just said that, Oak River Road. I'd already forgotten. What we're willing to do, if you're willing to sign an extension in the time that's allotted to, because if we don't act on it, it will be automatically granted. And that's why we have this lady here, she makes sure that that doesn't happen. So if you're willing to sign an extension, we're willing to give you until May 25th to sort of get the ducks in a row with the owner of the property to see if they can get approval with the planning board.
that's fine, because I'm sure my option is either that or if you're not gonna approve it on a building that's not there, so,
No, we
yeah,
usually-
I have no
yeah.
problem with that.
All right. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it is what it is. They're obviously not gonna start construction anytime soon if they're not even approved yet, so.
Okay. On its face, you know, as Mr. Attorney Human had indicated, he didn't have a problem with it. I just have a small problem, because I'm not certain exactly what 20-some-odd feet's gonna look like on a building of that size, but I guess I kind of need to just take a drive-by. But if it's in keeping with some of the other signs, with some of the other individuals, I don't think I would have a problem with it. But if it's not so much in keeping, that if it's that much larger, then I might have a slight concern with that, and we'd probably have to talk about it. But at this point, we're not there. So we'll just have someone put forth the motion to continue the matter to May 25th on the condition that you're gonna sign an extension, all right? And you understand, if you don't sign the extension, then the matter would likely, we'd have to bring it forth and then vote on it and decline it, okay? Attorney Human, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No,
How about
no.
you?
No, thank you.
Attorney
I have
Farrier?
nothing, Mr. Chair.
Then I make a motion that we continue variance application 2022-05 for 718 Dartmouth Street by 718 Realty LLC for the installation of a sign until May 25th, is that what we decided? May 25th, 2022, subject to the applicant signing the form requesting the continuance.
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. We'll see you on May 25th.
Perfect, thank
All
you.
right, good luck.
Good.
All righty. All right, gentlemen, let me see if I can gather things here. The next matter we have on for this evening is variance case number 2022-06. The petitioner is Michael T. Fernandez. The subject property is located at 47 East Avenue, map 105, lot 86. It's within the single residence B zoning district. The notice in this matter was advertised, the legal notice was advertised in the Dartmouth Chronicle on February 23rd, 2022, and March 2nd of 2022, and there were also notification provided to the abutters.
I make a motion that we waive the reading of the abutters list.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. The petitioner is seeking a variance to raise the existing 22 by 22, 484 square foot dwelling and replace with a 783 square foot garage on the first floor with a 783 square foot accessory apartment on the second floor. They're also requesting to keep the front yard setback at 5.1 feet where 60 feet is required, and to have the side yard setback at 10.9 feet where currently the building is at 10.6 feet and the zoning bylaw currently requires 20 feet. The property is located at 47 Eastern Avenue, and the petitioner is seeking relief under Article 8, Section 375-2D, and for accessory apartments 3D and 3D1, Article 8, Section 375-8.4D setbacks to A and B. So let's see what we have here for comments. We have comments from the planning department that said the ZBA should confirm that 2 separate detached garages with 1 accessory apartment are allowed on the same site. The historical commission should also be, contacted for the blank given age of the structure. It's kind of, I couldn't read it. There's also a note from the Board of Health. The project falls within the jurisdiction of Board of Health for something of applicant. Can you read that, Attorney Newman?
Cannot.
All right, I couldn't read it the other night when I was trying to prepare.
Approval? No.
That's approval
For approval of applicant?
within jurisdiction.
Not sure. But obviously, there's some concern there. That falls within their jurisdiction. I can only consider possibly because of the septic system. There are probably gonna be some requirements there. The building commissioner's here, so he's aware that this issue would exist. So prior to issuing the building permit, Mr. Braga, you would instruct them, I'm sure, to go to the Board of Health.
That's correct.
Okay.
I would.
Conservation says they're okay with the proposed project that's submitted. Erosion/sedimentation controls must be placed between the project and the resource area, that being a part of Payneham Harbor, I believe. Let's see if we've got a letter here from the building inspector. Got a letter here from the building commissioner. It's addressed to Jenny Reynolds of Prime Engineering. I reviewed your application. At this time, your proposal cannot be approved due to non-compliance with current zoning regulations. It is proposed to raise the existing small dwelling and replace it with a 2-stall garage on the first floor and a 783 square foot accessory apartment on the second. It is proposed to keep the front yard setback at 5.1 feet and to have the side yard setback at 10.9 feet, where currently the side yard setback is 10.6. The second floor will have a main living room with a kitchenette, a single bedroom, and a full bath. There will be a 100 square foot balcony on the east side with a water view. There will also be a terrace on the east side at ground level. The proposed accessory apartment is in a single residence B district, does not comply with the following town zoning bylaws. A variance must be complied with. And basically, the bylaw is 375-2D, and it says an accessory apartment can also be located in a detached accessory structure if the detached accessory structure was in existence prior to June 6, 2006, and the first floor footprint was a minimum of 400 square feet in area. The detached accessory structure must comply with current setback, height, and lot coverage requirements. An accessory apartment located in an existing detached accessory structure shall be located within the footprint of the detached accessory structure. And 3D1 provides that the existing detached accessory structure can be completely rebuilt to accommodate the accessory apartment as long as the reconstruction occurs within the footprint of the existing accessory structure as it existed on June 6, 2006, and the exterior appearance complements the appearance of the primary residential structure on the property by incorporating a similar roof-style pitch, roofing material, windows, and siding materials. The subject property is located within the single residence B district, and it's assigned by Joseph E. Braga, Jr. All right. So at this time, well, anyone have any questions or any comments that you'd like to make after having read that into the record?
Just one minor thing, that according to the engineer in the short room, this building is 115 years old,
Yes.
the last page. Thank you.
Oh, the last page, let's see. Where does it
Last
say
page,
that?
one of the pages of, last page of conclusion number 5 of Richard Hume.
Yeah, well, we do note that they do say that the building, in their petition, the building was built in 1907. I'm sure that the petition is going to make that known. And obviously, if there's any historical significance, that is something that, you know, falls within the purview of Mr. Braga, where he'll need first their position on the permit or the relief that's being requested. So that's something that they may go to at some point in time.
That is
I
correct.
thank you.
But thank you. At this point in time, I'm going to call upon, I believe it's the petitioner's representative, Mr. Riom, to set forth the petitioner's application and the relief that they're seeking.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Richard Riom. I'm Chief Engineer at Prime Engineering, and I oversaw the preparation of the plans. I've blown up the 11 by 17 to a larger scale just so you could see. And one thing I want, batteries run out? Okay. The traveled way, the paved portion of East Avenue is very much to the west of the layout. There's actually 23 feet from the edge of the road to the property line. So when you're out there, you have the appearance that the buildings are typically set back 27 to 30 feet from the road. It's just a unique situation. I've got some photographs. This is in part because this is on the water, opposite the breakwater, and people have set their homes an equal distance from the road, so they're not blocking each other's view. You can see that from the water to the homes, they're sort of lined up facing the water so that one house doesn't block the view of the other. And you can also see that the garages have been set close to the street. Again, not to block the areas between the homes, block their side windows. So the main structure here is about 5 feet from the layout line. The garage to the south is just about 3 feet. The abutter's garage is just about 3 feet. They're all basically have their garages forward and their homes with their views back towards the water. And I'm saying this because at the last hearing, the board recommended that we do an attempt to try to get the unit to comply with the required side yard setback, which is 60 feet from the layout line. That would actually put it past the ocean side of the dwelling, and it would require removing the leaching system that's been put in. This is the existing septic tank. It's about 16 feet back. You're required to be at least 10 feet from it. And pushing this unit back would basically block the windows from this house towards the water and be disrupting to the septic system. This existing unit does drain to this septic tank. There's a line from the main building and from the outbuilding. And the system was built about 2013, just about 9 years ago. So it's a good functioning system, and we think it's not practical to rip it apart just to get the building back a few more feet. And as I see in the photographs, the other lots in the neighborhood have their garages the similar setback. And because there's a distance from the East Avenue traveled way to the building, you can park a car in front of this proposed garage, well off of the traveled way. So, in the narrative, we basically showed how we're meeting the criteria for the special permit for an accessory apartment, in that it has to be either 2 unrelated people or 3 related people. The occupant is actually the owner's daughter. At least one of the units has to be occupied by the owner of the property, and the owner does occupy the main building. And it's less than 800 square feet. We've gone through each criteria, and the only criteria that we're not meeting is that it's not being built within the existing footprint, and not meeting the side yard and front yard setbacks. And we think that when you look at the architectural plans, the apartment building is not oversized. It's a moderate 1-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and a living area. So we think we've met the basic performance standards for the variance and the special permit.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rion. Gentlemen, you have any questions?
Mr. Riom, do you know who owns that strip of land in between the street and the property lines?
Well, under the derelict fee statute, the owners own half of the
Halfway.
layout. So they own that strip.
I don't even think we're there. I think it's a situation, quite frankly, where it's a designated street, right? However, it's only been improved to a certain width. If you look at the gray area on his plan, right there,
Yeah.
and I'm familiar with this area, I've driven by there.
Yeah.
More than one occasion. The gray area that he has there, it makes it look as if right now that actually the homes are further back from the front. If you were to perceive the edge of the roadway as it's been constructed, it would lead someone to believe that the homes are actually set back quite a ways from the roadway. But the frontage is actually not where the roadway is. The frontage is much further back from where the current roadway has been improved. So the only thing here is at some point in time, I believe, if the lot owners wanted to, or the town, I guess, because I believe it's a public way, at some point in time, if the town wanted to improve that roadway, they could improve it right up to where the line is. You see the line there is, Mr. Human?
I do,
Yeah.
except I'm not sure that's true. They've been using that land in front of them for more than 20 years.
I understand that, but the thing is you say.
Open and notoriously.
It has, but it's not just them. It's been shared by others. So if the others want to utilize it, then they can be approved for the others to utilize it. Because if they drive upon that. Not the area that you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying the area that's already been improved, they drive upon that. Well, you know something? That's an interesting issue. That's an interesting issue.
From a practical standpoint, no one would spend the money to add a lot of extra pavement without getting another lot or another advantage.
No, and I agree, and the thing is this roadway extends a little bit beyond that, and then it comes to an end. There's not a cul-de-sac, it just comes to an abrupt end where it runs perpendicular to another lot from part of another subdivision on the other side.
Right.
So it doesn't get a lot of usage. But I guess that is concerning, that they could possibly, I guess you're right, they could possibly claim and say, hey, I've had exclusive use of this portion,
Since 1907.
possibly. But anyway, that's really not before us, right?
Right, no, I understand,
So-
but if you look at the actual picture, the road is, they don't own this section right in here.
Oh, you're right. They're parking on an area that they don't own.
Correct,
Yes.
and they have been for years, well, that's, again. So, you said earlier, the distance from the actual edge of the road to where this small building is how far?
27 feet. And it's,
Even though it's really only 5 feet some odd inches to the boundary line.
right, but again, the derelict fee statute says that they own to the center of the street. I mean, as surveyors, we typically show the edge of the roadway layout, but they do in fact have fee simple ownership to the center line.
Well, you just raised something else, and I think it cuts upon what Mr. Attorney Newman was saying. If that's a public way, then it's already been designated as a public way. And just because they only improved a portion of it, it approved, the town may have only improved and maybe approved the portion, I don't know. Maybe they approved the entire way, but they've only improved a small portion of it. So it's really a way that's owned by the town, and it's not necessarily a situation where there's,
I'm not sure the town accepted the fee. The town may just have accepted the right-of-way, in other words, the easement. Typically, the town does not accept fee, it accepts an easement, a right-of-way easement.
well, quite frankly, we know what the issues are, right? Basically here, the biggest issue is that they're trying to increase a second level for a building that only has one level. And that's what you picked up on the last time, and they needed relief from the side yard requirement. The side yard's 20, they're at 10.9, which is slightly better, probably about 4 inches better than where they were, or where they are right now. And they're keeping the same distance from the front boundary, just like you indicated. So,
I also didn't mention, there's a very dense evergreen hedge that runs along this property line, so that you can't actually stand on the abutting piece and see the
Well,
building.
from what I understand, this has been before us once. That petition was withdrawn. There was no one here. My recollection is there was no one here in opposition to it.
Right, yeah,
There was also no one that I recall that had any further support of it either, but I don't see anyone here this evening either who's in opposition to this. You know, it's always concerning because we're always worried about, and I don't like the fact that there's already one garage there now. There's one garage on the property. And I know that the planning board had suggested whether or not we look into this. It's an existing structure. That's really what it is. Whether it's a garage or it's another apartment, it's an existing structure. So we can't really speak to the fact that it's already in existence. We can only speak to whether or not we're going to grant the relief that they're seeking for the accessory apartment. We've had these before. I don't know if you recall, Al. I know that we had these, a few of these before you came on. And I wasn't actually a voting member at that time. I was just an alternate member. I think one of them was on Prospect Street, a long time ago. You remember? Oh, no, that was before you were here as well.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was on Prospect Street. They were trying to utilize a garage area as an accessory apartment. It was actually, a predecessor was,
Was that for the
Miss-
son to move in?
yes,
Family?
it was for a family
Okay,
member.
Okay.
It was. You remember that now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. And we've had maybe one or two since then as well. Doctor, you have any concerns?
Just a few questions for you people sort of to think about it, that they're increasing the existing of 484 to 700 plus. It's actually 62% more, 783, 62% more than what it is.
Yes and no. Because, and I noticed that, and I have that in some language that I put together here. If you were inclusive of the deck, because that 484 is only the building itself, but if you include the deck, that's also part of the structure that's being utilized, the total at that point would be, let's see, what did I put here? 709 square feet. So the structure plus the deck at this point is 709. And what they're trying to do is they're going to place this over that particular area, and you're at 783.
That's correct.
According to the record that I read, it says 22 by 22.
Oh, I agree, but let's just, if you just take a look at this plan, I understand, if you're analyzing structure to structure, it's from 480-something to 783. However, when you look at the plan that he provided us, and he had a shaded area on one of these plans to sort of delineate, to give us a good perspective as to what is there now. And, you know, we count decks as part of the structure for setbacks, don't we, Mr. Braga?
What's that? I'm sorry.
We count a deck as
Yes,
part of the
right,
structure
right.
for a setback. So when I look at that, where's that plan? We had that plan here a second ago. Oh, it's the second page here. If you see the shaded area on this plan, the shaded area, this other area outlined, that's the deck of the existing structure that extends beyond the proposed structure that they're going to construct here. You notice what I'm saying? Al, right here. Yeah. You see it, it's very faint. And there's only so much you can do on a computer with prints that are not in color, right? But I look at that and say, in essence, the distance that the structure is going to extend is actually less than what the structure of the deck is now. Extend towards the eastern part, closer to the water.
According to the information, it said the petitioner is seeking variance from 22 by 22 to 783 square feet.
When you look
For
at
448 to 783.
That's correct.
So they're increasing the size, no matter how you look at it.
You're increasing the size of the structure itself. And what I'm saying, just, look, I'm not trying to fight, I'm not arguing for them, but I'm just saying, if you were to include the square footage of the deck, that's also covering the lot. If you looked at the square footage of the deck in combination with the structure, you're at 709 versus 783. And they're doing away with the deck, they're just adding a balcony up on the second level.
Okay.
If I may.
Sure.
They're allowed to, by the bylaw, to go to 800 square feet for an accessory apartment, by the bylaw, by the zoning bylaw. So as long as they're meeting that footprint, and they're building within that footprint according to this bylaw, and they go up, as long as they stay under 800 square feet for that accessory apartment, then that meets the bylaw for that. That's, the issue isn't the square footage, is the footprint with the setbacks for this variance request.
So it's really not the square footage of the project, it's more of the setbacks of the
It's
project.
more they must meet the current setbacks, what they need the variance for, and being built within the original footprint as it was June of 2006, I believe, or 5. The accessory apartment can still be 800 square feet, no matter where it's built, attached, detached, that still is in play for 800 square feet. And as far as the garages and that comment that was made, there is nothing in the zoning bylaw that discusses that they cannot have 2 garages. It only says they can have 1 accessory apartment on a lot. That's it. That's how that reads, Mr. Chair.
Doctor, I don't know if you remember, we had one of these not that long ago, where it was off of Hathaway Road. It was an accessory apartment that had already been utilized, but I think it had been abandoned for some time. And
Yes.
they were coming before us, and they
Yes.
were at one point looking for relief for 1,200 square feet or 1,300 square feet, and ultimately they came back with something much closer to the 800 square feet. I remember that. And we granted that. And that was a structure that was already in existence prior to June of 2006.
And that was the same thing, Mr. Chair, where they were also increasing the footprint, the original footprint, and then they came down closer to the 800 square feet to be in compliance.
That's right.
That's correct.
Also, the issue of wastewater, because they're not right.
Yeah, they're gonna, it looks like the septic system is there. Obviously, the Board of Health has got jurisdiction over that, and they're going to,
I can give you the as-built plan of the septic.
yeah, we got one of those.
have that.
We have that, thank you. Yeah, someone did their job.
put it in the packet.
Right, someone put it in there. But,
You mentioned also historical.
no, so just before, to answer that, is this gonna be reconstructed as a result of this structure, or it's just an existence and it
It's
can
just existing.
and it can
You
accommodate?
can accommodate, yeah.
Okay. But obviously, they're gonna need Board of Health approval to ensure that it can accommodate whatever else.
Mr. Yom, quick question. Right now, how many adults are living in the 2 units?
His daughter is the only person living in this detached
And
structure.
the detached structure is the septic system applies only to the detached structure, or to the
No.
detached
It's
structure and the house?
servicing both the existing house and that structure. The as-built plan shows the pipe coming from the existing outbuilding and from the main house.
So this system was designed for people living in the outside structure and the main building?
Right.
Okay.
That will have to be verified by health again on those
Right,
calculations.
that's exactly what I
Right,
was
no, but I
thinking.
just wanted
Yes.
to ask the
I
question.
just, for my question, so there's no other structure, that other outbuilding is not being used for a residence or anyone, just this one that's being raised, correct?
Yeah, this one being raised is the
That was
only.
my understanding also. Okay.
Oh, and we will make sure that all the conditions, we'll have all the conditions in there, that they have to continue to compliance with this particular article.
Yeah.
And just because it's family members and household members. Attorney Farrier, any comments or any concerns?
No?
Really? All right. Anything else, Mr. Human?
No, I have no problems.
Doctor?
No, I don't have anything. The question is whether they should go get all these things done before they come up to us to get the variance, or
I don't think there's really much that they need to do. They get the variance first. They don't get a building permit unless this gentleman that sits right to your immediate right says all these things, all these boxes have been checked off. That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
in that case, the best would be that I leave it between you people, rather than...
Wow, I did catch that for a minute. Dr. Agag, just so that maybe I can help, with the system that we have, and especially now that we have the Viewpoint, the online permitting system, they can apply for a building permit, but each department can put a hold on it, so that does not get issued until they meet the requirements of planning, health, DPW, whoever else might be involved. The way that we design the system is they can put a stop right there, that the permit cannot move any further until all those approvals are met, sir.
Thank you for all the explanation.
Oh, do
Very
you have
well.
any proposed findings for these gentlemen? Thank you. Oh, gentlemen. All right, so I'm just going to read out some proposed findings, Doctor and Attorney Human and Attorney Farrier. At any point in time, if you want to stop me, stop me. If you have any questions or you want to make any changes, just let me know. So the findings are as follows. The subject property is known as 47 East Avenue, Dartmouth, Mass., Assessors Map 105, Lot 86, and is improved by a single-family dwelling, accessory dwelling, and a detached garage. The petitioner has owned the property since 2010, and the premise is located in a single Residence B zoning district. The petitioner seeks a variance to raise a 20 by 22 dwelling located in the northwest corner of the premises to construct a 27 by 29 two-story structure with a two-stall garage on the first floor measuring 783 square feet and a 783 square foot accessory apartment on the second floor. The front yard setback will remain at 5.1 feet, and the side yard setback to the northern property line will be 10.9, where currently the side yard setback is 10.6. The existing small accessory dwelling was constructed circa 1907 and has an overall footprint of 709 square feet, inclusive of a deck which extends to the east. The petitioner seeks relief from Article 8, Section 375-8.2 D1, wherein he proposes to completely rebuild an accessory structure to accommodate an accessory apartment, but such reconstruction will not be entirely within the footprint of the existing accessory structure. Relief from 375-8.4 D2A, 60-foot setback, and 375-8.4 D2B, 20-foot side yard setback. Those are the three forms of relief that he's seeking, and this is at the direction of the building inspector. The board finds that the petitioner has met the requirements of Mass General Law 48, Section 10. There are circumstances related to soil, shape, and topography that especially affect the subject property that do not generally affect the zoning district in which the structural land is located. So I propose the following language, and I'm open to any input, gentlemen. The subject property is unique given that it has a main dwelling, an accessory dwelling built circa 1907, and a detached garage, all principally located at the westernmost part of the property along the public way. The eastern property line of the premises borders Padenham Harbor, a significant waterway. There is significant topographical slope from the front, the west side, to the rear of the property, east side. Subpart 2 is a literal enforcement of the provisions of the bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner. The existing accessory dwelling is of an older design and limits the petitioner's ability to utilize the structure for present-day customary use of an accessory apartment for family member occupancy. We okay? 3, desirable relief may be granted without detriment to the public good. The proposed accessory apartment will be slightly larger than the existing footprint, but the additional square footage will promote better use and in keeping with the intent and purpose of the bylaw. And number 4, the variance will not nullify or substantially derogate from the intent or purpose of the bylaw. The proposed accessory apartment will have essentially the same setback as the existing structure, and its design is aesthetically pleasing and in keeping with the character of other dwellings in the neighborhood. Now, for conditions, gentlemen, we're obviously going to have the conditions that they need to seek approval from all of the town boards. They're going to have to seek a building permit, and also they must be in compliance with Section 375, 8.4 and 8.2, which deals with what the requirements are of an accessory apartment that has the limitations as to who the occupants may be, right? And any other conditions that are under that bylaw. So, gentlemen, I'm open to any comments. You try to be creative with some of this. If there's anything that you think I need to address in order to tighten it up. Attorney Farrier?
I have no comments.
I have no comments. I think you spelled it out well.
And I
Doctor?
have no comment, thank you.
All right. So I usually turn the matter to the public at some point to get any input from members for any opposition or any support. But here we have no one here other than Mr. Rayom. He's for it, obviously.
Run down there?
He's for it. He's definitely for it. So at this point in time, I need a motion to close the public hearing on this case.
I make a motion that we close the public hearing on case number 2022-06.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. So the hearing's closed on this matter. So do I have any additional comments anyone wants to make now that the hearing's closed? You can come forward, or we can put forth the motion either in approval or disapproval.
I'll present a motion.
Sure.
I make a motion that we approve the petition of Michael T. Fernandez, variance number 2022-06, for the property located at 47 East Avenue, including the findings and conditions previously discussed.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. You're very welcome, Mr. Riom. Now, gentlemen, we have nothing else, we have no other hearings, but if we have any other business that needs to be discussed, we can discuss that now. Is there any comments or anything that anyone would like to raise? Anything to make our board better?
You're wonderful, Mike, thank you.
Attorney Farrier?
Good to go.
All right,
Nothing, Mr. Chair.
so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Good night, Richard.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.